just sat down.
I've still been ready.
I was born ready. Welcome back to The Struggle with Candice Thompson, guys. I'm Candice Thompson. To my listeners who keep coming back week and week after week, thank you for doing so. If you have not subscribed, make sure to do that. We're on YouTube now. You can see the videos on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe there. Also, if you haven't rated and reviewed us on iTunes, do that, please, because it does make a difference. And if you haven't told somebody about The Struggle, do us a solid and tell some motherfucking body. Thank you. Now, you can find me at Jokes by Candice on social media and CandiceThompsonComedy.com for all of my shows. And I'm going to go ahead and make the official announcement right now for my new permanent co-host. You guys didn't know because I've had her on for like the first, we've done like maybe 4 episodes, I think.
Feels
just
like
on
forever.
Like a trial. It does feel like forever. You bitch. How dare you? We were doing like a trial run. We didn't announce that we were doing just a trial run because Brenda, you've been,
using discernment.
You have been. Oh, we have been, I guess.
Yeah, together.
Yes.
Thank you.
It was a collective thing we've been doing because Brenda's transitioning now back into, the podcast world. I didn't say comedy.
Yeah.
I didn't say comedy. The podcast world. We had an old podcast called Opharius that you can't listen to anymore. I just thought I'd plug something that you can no longer access. I took it down because what are we doing with it?
Gotta take that off my resume.
I think we still did it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Nobody's looking at my resume anyway.
Your podcast resume?
Yeah.
So now it's official. She is my permanent co-host. So
Thank
welcome.
you for having me.
We got a lot of good feedback from people who missed you from Opharius.
That felt very nice.
Yeah.
Please keep it coming because it's what keeps me going.
It's the only thing that gets her up in the morning.
To know that 6 people care about what I'm doing. So thank you very much.
I think it was 7.
7 people. But you know what? If it could be 8 next week and 9, if it could grow, follow me on Instagram at Brenda Colonna. That's it, right?
There you go. Yeah, that's your
That was a nice segue, right?
That is a nice segue.
I got a thing. I can't plug myself. It feels weird, and I only have one.
You start to like clam up.
I just don't like it. I'm just bad at it. I don't know if do I clam up? Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not.
Does it feel like a clam?
I don't know.
You've been watching it for 4 episodes.
Yeah, you don't seem clammy.
Yeah, thank you.
It's very unclam-like, I would say.
Oh, it seemed clammy to you? You thought?
No. I'm saying it sounded normal until you said something. I was like, maybe inside. She was like, what
oh, no.
Yeah.
That one was good. You caught a good one.
Okay.
I segued into it naturally.
Yeah.
That was a good
you're
one.
getting better.
Thank you. I
There you
appreciate
go.
that.
I thought it
The
was
narcissism's
normal.
coming back into you already.
No,
You've
don't
only done
say
this
it.
for like 4
You did
4
hesitate
episodes.
for a second, like you didn't know your own Instagram.
That's
handle,
true.
So
I don't.
maybe
She
study
doesn't.
it before each.
She
plug.
doesn't. No, if anybody
It's my
would
name.
misspell their own name or say it incorrectly, it would be Brenda.
Yeah.
Just FY, so we know a little bit more about her.
Yeah, thank you.
And now I'm going to introduce our hilarious guest for the day, Miss Sara Schaefer.
Hey.
Thank you for coming. Where can everyone find you online?
Sara Schaefer 1. Then just Google it. It'll come up. You can spell Sara Schaefer wrong, and it like knows that I'm the most important Sara
most
Schaefer.
important one.
So it will like, did you mean?
Yes.
No.
Why, yes, I did.
There are some other Sara Schaefers out there
But
doing well
they're
in
not
their
as
lives.
important.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
But Sara Schaefer 1. And yeah.
And you have a new comedy album.
I do. I have a brand new comedy album called Live, Laugh, Love.
That
It's
you need
so
to
inspirational.
check out.
Yeah.
It's on your website?
I've got it all on everything.
And on every-
So if you find me, you'll find the album, and it's all available on all the streaming, whatever. So
Yes.
I'm very proud of it.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no, that's
Yeah.
and how do you feel? Because we're going to because this is not like
Just
part of the
diving
format of
into
the
it.
show, but like, how do you
Good.
feel after, how many albums have you done?
This is
How
my
many-
second
It's
one.
your second one. And I know it's kind of like a traumatic experience recording an album, only because you're saying you have to say goodbye to this stuff that you've been working so long on. And then you're like,
and
then you
it
got
gets
the anxiety.
better literally the next day, and you're like, oh,
and I can't
it's
do this
over.
anymore.
Yeah.
Right. I can't tell these
you
jokes
can
anymore.
keep doing stuff. There's jokes from my first album that I would incorporate into when I was on the road.
Oh, yeah, for sure, because they maybe not have seen it, right. But a part of you still does kind of feel badly afterwards. You're like...
you start to say goodbye to it.
It's like you gave birth. It's like postpartum depression. Not that I've given birth or know anything.
Right. I definitely haven't. I don't
Talk
know.
about a over sense of authority on a topic.
Right. Like, you know what it's just like? Let me tell you, this thing I've never had.
Like, who are you?
It's just from what I've heard.
Well, and they tend to talk about it a lot. I mean, women who've given birth won't shut up about
They
it.
do talk about it.
I'm not shaming moms, but I know you're tired.
I'm not shaming moms, just the depressed ones.
Oh, right. You were talking about postpartum. I was just talking about the birth thing. Oh, my God.
Just the depressed ones that want to talk.
No, I wasn't talking about postpartum. Oh, my God. They need to talk about it more. Talk about it.
Absolutely.
Just not to me.
Yeah.
And not publicly. Get a fucking therapist. And do the world right. Sorry. Did I say that out loud? I have no opinion on it, to be honest.
About postpartum depression. I mean, what's the opinion on it besides?
Again, thought we were talking about birth. Just want to be clear.
That was really
This
funny.
was Quinta's fear. I'm coming on a podcast and saying something, and then all of a sudden she's like killing it, and then she's got 17 movies, and then she's going to get Kevin Harted.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we have this one clip from 12 years ago.
I've thought about going back and deleting my entire podcast that I had years ago. Because I'm like, what did I say on there?
You know what? I'm glad O'Farriss is gone. I've said the worst things.
Some terrible things.
I said some terrible. I used to really slut shame Kim Kardashian a lot. Like,
really?
Yeah, I would just be like, she's famous because she fucking sucked that guy's dick.
Well, it is true.
But then I like
that is like something we can make fun of.
I know. And then Kim is, there's problems with her, but
sure.
I just focus too much on that. Now I truly don't care.
Now you're like, get yours, girl.
Yeah, I'm like, she's a businesswoman.
Get it any way you can.
Yeah, I was like, she's really figured it out.
It's true.
So I like stuff like that. I think back, like, I don't think I said anything that would like ruin my career, but you don't know.
You don't know.
What's going to change?
They will come after
I definitely did say things that would ruin a career if I wanted to have them. I do know.
100%.
Yeah, because our podcast is called O'Farriss. And so the choice that I made on that was to be myself.
O'Farriss, combining the words offensive and hilarious.
Offensive and hilarious.
So you were
we went out of our way to, right.
We went out of our way to ironically say I know I did. To ironically say the most racist things possible.
Good.
Yeah.
Get it out.
But that was on, and for me, it was like, okay, so my character, my personality that I brought to the podcast was the one that you're seeing now. And then if we get into a riff or a joke, I would then take the opposite perspective and be so ignorant in what I say.
Right.
And then I would blur the lines a little bit of it too, because I enjoy that type of alter ego stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But if one was to take a sound bite from the things that I said,
context,
could ruin me in anything that I wanted to do public going forward.
Right. In anything.
And now I have this sound clip to be able to justify it. So boom.
But to be fair, and not to defend some of the terrible things that we've said, but also to defend some of the terrible things that we've said, is that people change. Like, you can have an opinion about something, and who has never not made a mistake before? Like, stop it. We've all said things that we didn't mean 10 years later. Like, we thought about it, like, oh, I'm not even that person anymore.
That makes me want to talk about the blackface thing. Can I go into that?
Oh,
or you want to?
Well, yeah. I'll do my struggle, and then we'll talk. There's yours.
Your struggle, blackface.
She just had it on last week. She can't stop doing it.
I don't know why people don't accept it.
I don't know why we're not letting our governors wear it. I don't understand.
I think people just need to relax.
Liam Neeson makes a lot of good points about
that is one of
so ridiculous.
This wasn't my struggle, but I could talk about it as my struggle.
Okay, whatever struggle you want to talk about.
But I definitely want to. Yeah, okay.
All right. So mine is when you got here, Sarah, we were kind of talking about what was I said one particular. Oh, I'm tired of having to know everything. As an adult, and like you're just constantly learning things, because the one thing you don't learn could, affect your life substantially. Like, you don't in a wrong way, in a bad way, or in a good way, maybe. But I'm tired of, like, for example, like, I am so frustrated with how nobody takes responsibility for, like, no one cares about our health.
That was a real moment you just had.
I really, because I had to think about what I'm trying to say. But, like, for example, we just found out a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but there was rubber found in Tyson chicken.
Oh, dear God.
Like, rubber.
Am I surprised? No.
No.
But am I upset?
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, like,
yes. But here's the thing.
Were we chewing on yoga mats at Burger King?
Well, that's what I was about to say. So now, like, we have the FDA is supposed to be doing their job, which we know they don't. But, like, there was a rubber found in Tyson chicken products. They had to recall those. But is that Why do
they
you recall
recalled
it? Yeah, they recalled.
So that means they found something that wasn't supposed to be there.
Exactly. So they found some rubber in there. But here's the thing: is how is that any worse than the at fast food restaurants? Subway had it. They took back their bread, but they had yoga mat ingredients.
Okay, so I've done a lot of research on that exact topic. Because for the show I was writing for a few years ago. No, it was for my own pilot. It was a rejected pilot. Anyway, we don't need to go in there.
It's still a pilot.
It was a great project.
Yes.
Anyway, so the yoga mat thing was a thing sort of made wildly popular by this woman called the Food Babe, I think is what she's a blogger.
Oh.
And
I'm already like,
she's very much about clean eating and what are the chemicals in and she's led a lot of campaigns to get companies to change their recipes and stuff. But what I read is that she's really problematic because like a lot of stuff she says.
As soon as you said blogger, I knew she was problematic.
Not basing it in science, and scientists are like, hey, like that's not what actually. But the yoga mat thing, it's a chemical, it's a leavening agent, and it's not a problem. Like it's not a problem. It's just the same. Like just like salt is used to like put all over the road. It's also in your food. Like there's.
Right.
There's elements and I mean there's ingredients, and then the other thing I'll say really quick is that. Like artificial flavors, people are really freaked out by them, and I think there are some bad chemicals
for sure
being put into food, but that they've like artificial flavors created in the lab like haven't really been definitively proven to be detrimental to your health at all. I think it might just be whatever chemical they use to create the flavor that is putting it in there, you know. So anyway, there's a lot to it. So I would give yourself a little bit of a break.
I will here's another example of one. Okay, since that one was debunked. All right, guys, it's not yoga mat material.
I mean, it could be, we don't know. That's what I'm saying. We don't necessarily know.
It also depends on where you are and how clean you want to eat.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you're putting something that is a leavening thing that isn't in a natural way, like you're eating very raw right now, and that's very natural.
I mean,
and
if you're making yourself sick trying to be so perfectly clean in your eating,
that's ridiculous.
Then it's the opposite.
You need to dial it back, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, that's okay. So this to go off in another direction. That is. We've all heard the controversy about vaccines and how there's people who are anti-vaxxers. And I don't know. And here's the thing, and I am by no means an anti-vaxxer. I'm not. But there are arguments. Did you guys ever see the documentary?
I'm an anti-vaxxer until I get something.
Documentary?
I am. I'm going to go as long as I can without.
Vaxxed?
No.
You need first of all, everyone needs to watch this. And for people who say there are no links between vaccines and autism, that's not true. The CDC actually knows about it, and it's in this documentary. Just FYI. Okay. So to say that, and to say that all vaccines cause autism, that is not the case. But there are numerous accounts of families who have been affected by this. Like just go on YouTube. You can go on YouTube and just look up vaccinations. And I just watched one the other day. I go down rabbit holes of many different things. But anyway, so this was this one family. They had 3 triplets, and they were like 10 months old, I think. She took them to get vaccinated, and one after one, the day of they were completely fine, happy babies. And the day of, the first one, the daughter got it first at like noon. Then the kid, then the boys
got autism.
They checked out. She was like, she saw. What? But I'm seeing these that's what this documentary is about.
Laughing at their pain.
Yeah, no, but it's
like
it's you know your kids, and she said this. You can see pictures of the kids smiling and they're happy. She's showing you these photos, and she said the day they got vaccinated, it was like clockwork. They got it at 10 o'clock in the morning. By noon, her daughter was the first one. She checked out. She had a glazed look in her eyes. She didn't laugh anymore. And the 2 sons happened right after that same day. She was like, this is not a coincidence. And they have not been the same since. They are still not potty trained at like 7 years old. She's like, they don't even make eye contact with one another. They don't respond to sound cues anymore. So this is not just one case. This has happened. And I do not think that there is something in vaccines that makes people have autism. I think what it is potentially is there could be some metals or something that are in vaccinations that certain people like have a genetic coding for, something that is making them
right. We don't know enough.
We don't
I wish
know.
It would just
this is
get
why
to it and figure it out.
Right. I am not going to have kids.
It's terrifying.
I'm not
How do you have this conversation?
I'm not having them.
I'm going to be with somebody else that's got like a teenager.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's too much.
Completely gone beyond it. Those choices have already been made. That person doesn't like me anyway.
It is a lot to think about. You got this person now, and think about these parents that have these kids now that they were perfectly fine. Now because of a vaccination that they got, now they can't get right. Yeah. And that's a terrible way. That's my term for autism.
Yeah, I mean, we just don't know enough.
You don't know enough, and the fact
stressful.
But if romaine lettuce was causing autism, if there were links, they would have recalled it. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not. Romaine lettuce just made some people sick, and with E. coli. So, and not to say that that's not life threatening. It could be food poisoning, but if the amount of examples of this has happened with the autism and with like a food poisoning, it'd be we would pull it off the shelf immediately. So but the
difference is that there's indisputable proof that like E. coli can kill you.
For sure. But I think now that
maybe they're not.
They're not exploring it.
Doesn't it also matter how much companies make on the product? Because you're not making as much on lettuce than you are on vaccines, and that's big pharma.
For sure. I mean, it is big pharma, for sure. Yeah. And that is the ultimate problem.
Well, but vaccines have a very troubled past to begin with. So it's the way they've been tested. I mean,
for sure.
Even if I was to have a child right now, I don't think I would vaccine.
I mean,
I would take the
I gotta say, I'm not gonna agree with you.
I don't necessarily agree.
I don't think that everybody...
You're putting other children's lives at risk.
But the problem
when you don't vaccinate your own child.
I thought about that, but the thing is that if they're already vaccinated, if the other kids are vaccinated, shouldn't they be okay?
Then what are we worried about? It's only my kid.
There's like measles outbreaks.
All of our hypothetical kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm fighting for mine. That's my kid.
Right.
You don't tell me what to put in my kid. And you know what? It's not for you to agree or disagree.
You're right.
It's my kid, and it's my choice.
And my imaginary kid is not going to hang out with your imaginary kid.
We're not having an imaginary play date. And I don't care what you're going to say for the next podcast.
My kid's going to be in a private school, so they won't even know your kids.
My kid's already grown up. He grew up in one day.
He got that special vaccination that makes him grow up really fast.
Because he didn't get a vaccination, and I don't know. Anyway, but please continue. Sorry.
No, I'm saying, I don't know enough. I don't know
anything.
Like speaking when I don't know 100%.
None of us do.
But my gut of hearing, my sister runs a school, like a Montessori school, and she's like, it is a health risk to not vaccinate your child and then send them to school because they could get measles and then.
That's happening right now.
Even if you're vaccinated, you can get it still.
Right.
Like if your immune system,
the flu shot.
Yeah, if your kid is sick or like immune system is down,
compromised,
then they could get it, and then that makes it's just putting people at risk.
For sure.
It's but I think what we need is more information.
Absolutely.
And it's like, what's the risk? I mean, I read this article one time. This woman who grew up in a house that was like didn't get vaccinated. She was like, I was sick all the time. And it screwed up my life. I missed school. You know, it's like, so I mean, there's obviously a spectrum of, not to use the word spectrum in this conversation,
context.
Sorry. There's a spectrum of of people who go just so crazy with it and
absolutely.
Other people, and I don't, there's been ideas about is it about the timing of how many vaccinations you get in
absolutely.
A short time period?
Right.
And, we need more information.
In Vaxxed, they were saying the number of the demographic of babies that were getting it were the autism effects were young black boys.
Interesting.
So that's interesting.
I just text my mom to see if I was vaccinated.
I'm sure you were. They would make you, especially back then.
Are you sure? Well, I don't know. My mom smoked.
Well, now they won't let you come to school.
Cigarettes had vitamins back in the day.
At my sister's school, they won't let them come to school if they haven't been vaccinated.
Yeah, no, that's a thing.
They have to show the record of it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, especially back in the day, there's no way that they.
So my kids got to be homeschooled.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. And then that pushes people into homeschool. Then it's a whole other set of problems. No offense if people have been homeschooled. But
let me talk slower for our listeners who've been homeschooled. Let me talk a little bit slower.
No offense.
No offense, but
I also do think that it is certain types of, in the vaccine, this is the last thing I'll say on it before we get into Brenda's thing, but is that certain vaccines were linked to it and other ones weren't. So
interesting.
I think the old school ones are like better, and then the newer ones are a little bit more problem because they haven't been through as much testing. But there was one specifically in the Vax document. It was the MMR, the measles, mumps, and rubella one that with all of those 3 in one was the problematic vaccine. If you got it separately, if you got your measles one separately, then you got your mumps and then the rubella.
I know people who
fine.
are spacing them out because they've read stuff
and that's probly the best
My
thing
imaginary
to do.
kid will be getting spaced out.
That's separate.
Yes. I think that's the compromise we've been looking for.
Don't not vaccinate, but do research maybe is the key, and do them separately if you're going to do them.
Things change.
That's the takeaway from people who have no idea what they're talking about.
One more thing. Things change.
And who speak with authority.
Yeah,
like you need to keep up on this stuff because like I for years was paranoid, and I will always be. My mom died of breast cancer, so I'll always be paranoid about getting it.
Right.
And I read somewhere, who knows where I read it, but that like aluminum in antiperspirant could contribute to it.
That.
And that as a woman, you shave your pits, it goes directly into your bloodstream. And now they're saying it's fine.
They are?
You can use antiperspirant. Yeah.
But who's saying this?
Actually, one of the lead
this?
breast cancer doctors has come out and said, I regret because now there's either new evidence or there's.
She could have been paid though too.
Yeah,
and at the end of the day, do you want to put aluminum in your body?
This is the doctor that cut off Angelina Jolie's tits, so I trust her implicitly.
She is the arbiter of titties. All right,
those were nice titties, so to cut them off, you had to know what you were doing.
She probably kept them. I would.
No, but I mean,
they're just on her nightstand.
I'm the doctor.
You want to touch mantle?
Yeah,
it's a conversation piece whenever she has parties.
Instead of a moose, there's like a moose.
It's just
pair of tits.
What I will say, really, again, I know it's the last thing I was going to say, but one more thing because I did just watch an interesting documentary on Netflix called Root Cause. And so many diseases, including cancers, all different types of cancers, heart disease, all types of illness are linked to root canals.
And gingivitis. I just read about this. Yes.
Our teeth are connected to meridians in our body. So any bacteria.
You're going into the meridians.
I'm going in the meridians. Now, I don't even know. But it's like the teeth are all like they'll say like your molars, and this is not accurate, but for example, your molars are connected to your stomach. Something like that. They're all connected
molars are connected to your stomach.
Wait, right. I want to hear about this because I have a lot of root canals.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
I had one.
Oh, no.
When I was young, when I was like 4.
You guys, watch this document. So basically, a root canal, you have a dead tooth in your mouth. That's what a root canal is a non-living tooth.
It's bacteria that's
the bacteria accumulates.
And plaque.
And it does not get out.
In your mouth.
Wait a second.
Plaque in your blood.
So I have a crown though. If you have a crown.
Crown is not a root canal. We're talking about root canals specifically.
Oh, no. I've had root canals done is what I'm saying.
Yes. So you have a dead tooth. If you've had any listen up. If you've had root canals, you have they saved a tooth. That's the only reason why they did it because they didn't want to take out a tooth.
I had one when it was a baby tooth. It was a baby tooth.
Oh no, I've had it replaced by a crown. I've always had to get crowns. I mean, I'll check, but I've always put like
I don't think
shaved down the dead part.
Yeah, so like
nasty.
For a crown, that's what they do.
For a crown,
a root canal is a root canal, not a crown. A root canal is they reconnect the plumbing system in your nerves or whatever. So but that tooth that's in there, if you had a root canal, is not alive. It's a dead tooth. And so what happens with any other if you've had any other part of your body that dies, they take it off. They don't leave. If your appendix bursts, they take it out. If you have if your toe is about to get the tissue's dying, they cut it off because it's going to get infected and it's going to fester and it's going to make the rest of you sick. So a root canal is the only thing where they're like, leave this dead thing in your body. And that's what they do. And then years go by and people they have chronic fatigue syndrome, autoimmune diseases, and it's all from their teeth. So you have to get it taken out and get a bridge in there, get a fake tooth in there. Because 100% of the cases,
I know for sure I've had a lot of crowns.
100% of root canals are infected and making people sick.
Huh. That's good to know.
100. So watch it. I'm telling you, it's really good. And
I'm just like
now my struggles. I had like 6 more problems on my table.
Yeah, I know, right?
And they're all starting with root canals.
Struggle just got worse.
It just got so much realer. So anyway, Brenda, what's yours really quick?
Well, I got to think about that for a second now. I'm worried about my root canals.
Oh, well, you should. Yeah, no, we'll talk more.
You should.
You should be. We'll talk more about that.
Yeah, just give me a second to process. I mean, you just said something huge. That's like saying, like, if you have a nose, you might have AIDS. You're like, fuck.
On the good end of it, now you know, and if there's anything going on, you can get it taken care of.
I know. I'm kicking myself in the ass because in the beginning of this podcast, I heard myself say over loud voices, "I want to know." Now I'm like, you better stand by what you just said. You wanted to know. Now you know.
Now you know.
Now you know.
It's true. It is true. Now you got to deal with it. Like,
yeah. So now I'm trying to process, and I'm like, I gotta go to the
Are you sure it was even root canals that you had?
I know I've had root canals, and I believe that most of them have crowns because I always had to pay a lot of money to get the crown done, and then I had a temporary that they put in it first, and then I had to put a crown on. But I'm sure maybe
a crown. Yeah, you got to reach it. I'm no dentist.
Maybe you should look in my mouth now and tell me.
Yeah, you can just open up real wide. Let me see. Let me grab. Does anybody have a magnifying?
Teeth look good.
Appreciate that.
It's because they're all fake.
No,
I'm kidding.
That's what I need.
I'm kidding.
I got enough to worry about right now. I got all insecure.
But you've gotten root canals since you've been in LA or when you were a kid?
Both, I think.
Who needs that? How many root canals? Are you sure? I don't think you know what you're talking about.
No. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I don't think you do.
But no, I know that I have. As an adult.
As an adult, you've had root canals.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm touching one right now.
All right. Well, we're gonna figure it out.
Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
All right. So my struggle. All right. I had to. Yeah, I guess I'll talk about this. I don't know what's going on with the blackface thing. I guess
we had a governor and a guy just recently, a governor of Virginia, who has a picture resurfaced of him in blackface from college.
Oh, and he said something about I saw a little clip of it, something about putting polish.
Went on to then explain the process.
No.
He said it was Michael Jackson because I was
No. He's saying, he's not handling it well. It's really,
No.
I'm from Virginia and I'm ashamed. And I did check my yearbooks, like, just to be safe. Not for me.
Just
I
to
know
make
I've
sure.
never worn.
I was like, Sarah.
But what if someone else in my class did?
Well,
it's like
apparently they're all coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah. So
I've been in blackface.
She has been.
Picture you have
when she was we'll talk about
and
it.
it's online.
But yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Really quick though, I'll just say so that we have the information about Governor. The picture is a person in blackface, next to a person in a KKK outfit.
Yep.
Neither are good. So
and should definitely not be in a photo together.
Yes, really bad.
Separately
so
bad,
those
together
two things,
even worse.
Just so bad. So it's on a page with his name, and it's
real?
like his page, like in the book.
Yeah.
And so then
in his yearbook,
yes.
in his medical school yearbook. So it's like a little bit old to be doing that. So anyway, so then. He initially just immediately was like, I'm so sorry. This is awful. I can't believe I did this. It is me. But then like 2 days later, he's like, no, wait, it's definitely not me. What I thought, he's trying to pretend he didn't know about this picture. He's like, he thought it was another picture of him dressing up as Michael Jackson, and he put like shoe polish on his face.
Because he'd done it before on another occasion.
So it's like,
that's my story.
And he was saying,
we find out that all the root of blackface is Michael Jackson related.
It was like,
and he's the whitest black guy.
Yeah. It's like,
well, not at the time.
Not at the time.
Yeah. In the 80s and prior, he was black.
Yeah.
That's why we know those kids ain't his.
So was it Halloween?
Because he used to be black.
Yeah. Was it Halloween when the picture was taken?
It's unclear. It looks like it's just a party. I mean, who knows?
Who knows? Sometimes who
dresses up like a KKK?
Who needs a reason to dress up like a Klan member?
I think they thought it was funny. Let me go as a K. I can hear the conversation. Let me go as a KKK guy. You go as a black guy, and we'll be like,
friends. It'll be like Ebony and Ivory.
Yeah. And it'll be funny because those two things don't go together.
Yeah, right.
It's like, no, actually.
They go together.
So
really in a bad way.
This ties in then my struggle. Well, first of all, I want to say that my mom convinced me to be Michael Jackson for Halloween one year.
She convinced you? You were a kid.
Well, it didn't take a lot of convincing.
That was all your mom. That's what I'm saying. Like, you were a kid.
So you did blackface in terms
I got a picture
of Michael
of it.
Jackson as a kid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Candice and I promoted Opharius
How old?
with it.
We did. You were
first
could have been
grade.
more than like
kindergarten or first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
and it was a really sloppy minstrel show job of a.
geez.
Yeah, she needs to listen to Northam and to a proper application because her mom did not do a really good job.
No, did not do a good job. So That being
face
said,
makeup, for the record, is very, very difficult to apply. Like full color of some kind.
foundation is hard to apply.
Because I've been in like witch makeup before, like all green. It's awful.
Yeah,
it's so uncomfortable. Why are you going to go to all that anyway?
Yeah, right. My mom felt the same way, and that's how it ended up looking the way it did.
Imagine how racist you have to be to go through all that effort.
Than you think it's going to take.
Yeah, you got to really have a point.
And back then, when they were burning, they were taking the end of corks and burning them.
That was the original.
That was the original. Yeah.
That's what my mom did. Okay, so putting that aside,
she burned corks.
She burned corks.
She knew how to do it.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I don't
really
know.
did it.
And remember, there was no YouTube back then. She couldn't look up. She couldn't find a blackface tutorial.
Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel today.
We're learning how to apply blackface properly. Now, most people use tree bark. I'm going to tell you that that's not how you do it. You got to use a cork.
Yeah.
Wow.
So as somebody that didn't know that was wrong, I'm in that position. Now, also as an adult, I was Macy Gray one year.
Okay, that's the plot thickens.
But in blackface?
No, I did not.
The black foundation thickens.
I did not use. I did not use. I did not use face paint, and the reason why I did it is because the video just came out, and I knew my friend was picking me up in her car, and I was in New York City at the time. I thought it'd be really funny to run as Macy Gray towards her car, like in the video.
Did you talk like
I
this?
did. And I got to talk like that all night. And so that's why I did it. It just was a popular thing at the time. Now, I don't feel bad about it.
But you didn't have blackface on, so that's
I didn't have blackface on. I don't feel bad about it.
The blackface is the bad part.
Yeah,
you
my
can dress
friend
up
dressed up as Drake, and he's white, but he didn't do any. And it was really,
Of course, it's even funnier.
It was really funny.
Right, it's even funnier.
Right, and so that's how my friend felt is running towards the car. You know, I got to sing the song, and that was the thing. It was, that's it, right? I got to do it in slow motion and everything. I thought so.
Yeah.
So now I don't follow the news at all or pop culture. So every time I see something, it's kind of like, thank you.
Yeah.
So I ended up on Facebook for a second and a half, and I saw somebody from back home that shared a video of Joy Bayer.
Yeah, from The View.
You guys saw this too, okay? And so she had dressed up like my Macy Gray. And I don't even know if she was dressed up as a black woman, but she just had curly hair.
Self tanner on.
That might be her real hair.
A little
also.
darker.
It didn't even look like that.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't
she
like...
She joked, like, oh, I put some self tanner on. Like that. Like, they talked about it on The View. Like,
they talked about it in Vogue. Yeah.
So it wasn't it wasn't a blackface issue then.
And so my struggle, now at this point, I'm glad you guys are in agreement. My struggle now is that...
blackface on now?
Yes. Excuse me, I need to cork some
corks.
My struggle was that these people were fighting that now look, Joy Bayer was in blackface too.
Yeah.
And they're letting her get away with it. It's like, that's not blackface.
It's not. There is different if you use like a self.
Everyone
and I almost got into the argument. I almost got into like the Facebook argument, but I held back because I was like, there is no convincing these people that it is not one and the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's all we're in a world right now of all or nothing.
Right.
It
is literally black or white.
You're literally Hitler or you're literally Jesus.
Right.
Like, those are the only two options, and it's like
true. Yeah.
Anyway,
really
that's my
stressful.
struggle.
But
to have to deal with people that you love and care about, or that you know from how long ago that share this opinion that is so unbelievably ignorant,
right?
And then and to refrain from trying to help in some capacity just by saying, "Hey, that's not the same thing."
That's not the same
thing.
It's
a little different to dress up with curly hair than it is to put
right. Then put on full on
blackface paint.
Blackface. Which we asked for one time.
Paint.
We have to tell this story again. I never told it before. I don't know if we told it on this podcast before, but this will be the last before we get into Sarah's struggle. But Brenda and I, when we were doing sketches a few years ago, we walked into an art store, and I was like, Brenda, I dare you to go up to the black cashier and ask her for blackface paint.
Oh my God.
And Brenda was like, I don't care, I'll do it.
Oh my God. It's like my worst nightmare.
Brenda goes up to the lady and she goes, excuse me, where do you keep your blackface paint? And she goes,
good.
You mean black
face
paint? Yeah,
and
like
she goes, that's what I said, blackface paint.
Do you want to do this? Like a football player, or are you
doing this?
Yes.
Are you doing
full on Al Jolson style?
Yeah. How many tubes are you going to need?
Yeah, it was so worth it for the reaction.
Yeah.
It was great. She was with me, and I know I'm ambiguous looking, but also we had another black friend that was with us, which made it even more confusing. Like, what's happening right now? So,
although I was by myself when I did the initial, and then you guys came.
Yeah, and then we came up.
Came to support, which was nice.
To make sure she didn't get stabbed.
Yeah.
in Blick. In Blick Art Supplies.
That was a fun moment.
All right, Sarah.
Yeah.
What you struggling with?
Oh, it doesn't have to do with blackface.
Well, thank God. I had to ask you to leave.
No, I've never struggled with wanting, I think I always knew it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
My struggle, and it's been my struggle for a while now, is this book I'm writing. And it is on my back. And I know it's so boring to talk about how hard it is to write a book, but it is so brutal. Like, and it's a memoir.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's very difficult for me to write about. And it's been over a year, so probably a year and a half of working on it, on and off. And it's almost done. But I'm just so busy with other stuff. And, when you get a book deal, which I was very lucky to have a deal at a time, you get a third of it up front, a third when you're done with it, and then a third when it comes out. So, like, this is not the money that I thought I was, it's like spread out over in the amount of time you spend on it. I'm like, I'm getting paid 10 cents an hour. Like, that's what I feel like to, like, just brutalize myself.
Right.
And there's so much stress about it. I've had different phases. In the beginning, one of my biggest stresses was, what is my family going to think? And have to talk to them about all of it because it involves my family.
For sure,
and, I've moved past that, but it creeps up on me, while I'm writing. It'll be like, that's going to destroy it. Because I'm very close with my family, and they all know what I'm doing, but they haven't read it yet. And they might read it and go, I'm never speaking to you again. That's my worst fear. But
which is a fear as comics. We think about that all the time too. Just going on stage and like the stuff we're going to talk about. Like if this is about my family, like are they going to feel a certain way if I say some family secret, right? And now I've humiliated my parents or siblings or whatever. Yeah. So that's a valid concern.
And it's going through. I had to completely rewrite it. The first draft. Thumbs down. Yeah, from my editor. They were. I mean, it wasn't like 100%. Throw it all out. But it was just like, you need to worry. You need to figure out what this book is about. And I was like, well, what did you like? I mean, she liked like maybe 2 chapters.
Oh, really? And did
20.
you agree with her?
No, at first I knew reading because like I got like what's called an editorial letter. I was expecting to get notes, edits, through the whole thing, lines and lines and this is misspelled.
Red marking.
College, I was like,
and it was just
a letter that said no.
Yeah, it was a 1-page letter, and I was like, what?
Pursed lips.
And I was like, oh my God. It was just brutal. And I was very upset at first.
Oh, I can imagine.
I took some time and I really let it simmer.
That's a double whammy because it's not only is it your writing skill, but it's also your life.
It's your life.
Oh, 100%. I mean, she's like, this isn't interesting. I'm like, that's my life.
Also, you have to rehash things that are probably very difficult for you.
Right.
Yeah. Or for anyone. I mean, that's why it makes the story interesting.
There's just so many things about it that I didn't know going into it. Like, so for instance, all the stories that you tell your friends and your family, the inside jokes, those are bad.
Don't do
generally because they're known
for any of our listeners who are writing memoirs.
This is just what my editor. She shouldn't say it so sweeping like that, but she said it enough for me to kind of get it.
We don't care.
She
about
was
these.
Like lore. Family lore is
what
actually
is family lore.
So the story of like that your mom always tells about you. Or,
that's what we don't want to talk about.
Or the story that you would immediately think of, oh, that's a funny story from when I was growing up.
She's telling you no.
She's like, it's too rehearsed. It's not, and my therapist actually, who's like, I think basically helping me write this book.
She's going to get 10%.
I'm going to have to thank her in the book. She was like, they've proven that your memory, so if you've told a story over and over again, that memory is actually probably the furthest from the reality.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you've kind of tweaked it over time, and you have usually the stories we tell often are usually ones that reveal something about you that you want people to know, or it's a narrative that you need to be true. And so those are the most unreliable stories, or the ones you always tell. It's the stories that you don't think of often that you probably remember more accurately. So I had to kind of go through my whole life and write down a bunch of things, and things would pop in my head, and I just researched myself a lot, which I'm so tired of me now. And so I've had to turn to these stories that were the unexpected ones and dig, and you know, it's just such a massive undertaking.
It's a lot of processing too.
I feel like I've been through 20 years of therapy in 1 year, and the book theme is the overarching theme is like me learning to accept myself.
Yeah.
Which is, at first I was like, that's boring. Everyone's rating that. And it's like, no, but that's actually what everyone wants to
I was going to say, I think that's something
it's
that
just
everyone
my
can
version
relate
of it
to.
is different.
Right.
Yeah. So it's me accepting myself. And honestly, writing the book is really, this is me accepting myself. Like truly.
Yeah.
The process of writing the book is the journey, but I can't just write about writing the book.
It's so meta.
So I'm writing about like things that have actually happened in this past year that I'm using as the device.
Yeah.
So like I went on this trip down the Grand Canyon, and that's kind of becoming the device of the book, of like this trip and then dipping back. And it's my version of Wild.
Okay. I'm Reese Witherspoon.
I'm going to play myself in the movie, though. Not Reese.
Reese.
No.
I've always, well, first of all, like, if you had known how much this was going to take, like how much energy and effort going in, would you have signed on to have done it in the first place? You'd still do it.
And the reason I say that is because this book always felt inevitable to me, in that I knew I would write this book before I knew I would be a comedian.
Oh, really?
Even from a young age, people were like, you're going to write a book one day. Sarah, you're going to write a book about all this.
You were 6 years old and people were like, we need to hear your story.
My aunt, seriously, she has that voice. No, my aunt. I was very, very smart as a young child. But my aunt would always go, when are you going to write me a book? And my mom would always say...
Talk about planting seeds.
Right.
And by the time I got to high school, my mom would be like, Sarah, I cannot... you are going to write a book about all this one day. And she had titles for it. And so... That's
so crazy.
I knew it was going to happen. Yeah. And I tried to tell this to my family. I'm like, you all know this was... You knew it was coming. Yeah. And I think some of them are scared, because it reveals a lot of family secrets. But
they're regretting some of their decisions from back in the day.
Well, mainly my dad.
Mainly my uncle who molested me.
No, luckily there's no molestation. I think that would be a very different book.
That's unique.
I probably wouldn't be smiling about it.
So many people were molested, so that's good.
Yeah.
So passe to be molested.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Boring.
So hack. Get out of here. Who was it? Dill. Get out of here, please.
No. But yeah, you'll have to read the book, but it's about some, a very life-changing moment in my family's life where my dad had to confess to some pretty crazy stuff.
Oh,
and
wow.
Our whole lives changed overnight.
And
just absolute night and day change.
Oh, shit. And he doesn't know at this point that is going to be in there?
Oh, he knows.
He does know.
Yeah,
okay.
we've talked extensively about it.
Okay.
And it was actually really good because I didn't know. I was only 12 when it happened. It was like financial stuff that he did wrong. And he and I actually didn't know a lot of, because I was so young when it happened.
Right.
So he and I, for the book, had to sit down and talk through it. And I asked him every question I've ever had.
Wow.
I learned things I never knew. I understood the context of what happened so much better now. And I'm like,
wow.
I would never have had this conversation with him if I didn't write
That's so healing for you.
That is.
Truly. I mean, he and I have had some really rough years. And, we've come a long way. But
prior to this.
Yeah. And, a lot of pent up anger on my part towards him.
Yeah.
And I'd gotten over a lot of that, but I didn't fully I don't think I fully came through until we had that conversation.
Wow.
And I was like, I get it now. I get,
I wish my dad would talk to me.
And listening to you saying this, it's now I need to write a book just so I can talk to my parents. Yeah.
It does force the hand.
It does because
I come home every Christmas trying to have a conversation about when I was 12, and this motherfucker won't talk to me about it.
Wait, you really initiate a conversation like that and he won't?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No, I kind of do. It's 16.
Pick a side. You do or you don't.
I kind of do. I try to have conversations with my parents about how I feel, but they don't know how to really communicate.
My dad's actually a really good
But he didn't do
really
anything.
Good communicator.
There wasn't like any kind of like real monumental moment that changed our family dynamic. It's really just my paradigms from when I was like 6, 12, 16 that I've constructed and put on them, and they don't want to hear it anymore because I'm 23.
You're only 23. You got so much. Wait, I was about to say
she's
23. I was like, Jesus. You seem to have lived.
we lie about our age.
Validated, by the way, with my age.
Not your look or anything.
No,
but
you invalidated everything that I said once you heard I was 23.
Yeah.
Like, you know nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, be quiet.
Hey, just accept that she believed it.
Thank you.
Just accept she believed it.
Yeah,
But no,
I
this
will.
is the podcast where you can come on and lie about your age. We do it all the time.
I'm 54.
Lie up.
Lie up. People are like, oh my God, what are you doing? And I'm like, I just was born this way.
Did you know Sarah is in her 50s?
No, but you're fortunate enough to have the opportunity to be able to talk to your dad and clear things that most people don't get to do.
Right. Like my mom is not here anymore. And one of the hardest things about this book has been not being able to talk to her and ask her questions. Just any, like what, like, because she would have remembered all of it. You know, my dad's just like, I don't know.
He's a man. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, she would know the color of the blankets. She would know, you know, she would know everything. And like, that has been brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, and it actually ended up becoming, maybe become part of the book. Actually, like, she's leaving.
Yeah, no, she has to make
She got a phone
That
call.
was such a moment for you, though, that I didn't want to interrupt.
I know. It was.
My mom is dead and it's so sad. And you're like, I got to step
have
out.
to
No, you do
I'm
have
sorry, I have something
I'm
better
such
to
a
do.
jerk. I'm so sorry.
It's
but I
truly
really do have to make
fine.
a phone
It
call.
was a long time. I mean, it was 11 days ago, but no, just kidding. No, it was like 11 years ago. She said.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
No, but I talked to an old family friend about this very issue of like feeling unable to talk to her was so hard. And she was like, well, why don't you interview her? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, you can interview her on paper and she'll
ask her all the questions.
Ask her all the questions and ask her all the questions and she will maybe answer you. And I'm like not someone who believes in, well, I want to believe, but it just never came.
Right.
Of like, you know, her visiting me and,
right.
you know, things like that. So I went to this like farmhouse in Kansas. It's a long story, but
whose farmhouse is this?
it was an Airbnb. I had a college gig like in the middle of nowhere. You truly couldn't get there without driving 5 hours.
Oh God, yeah.
I
Love
was
those.
like, why did I agree to this?
Why did I every college gig? Why did I do this?
What the hell? So I had a few days to kill because it was like between 2 other gigs, and I went there and I decided to interview her, and it was really intense.
Did you hear something back?
I haven't read. I was like, you know what? I just wrote. Tried to be as present. I like meditated and I like tried to be as present as possible in that moment and just all senses open and just let my pen go.
Mm-hmm.
And there were moments where I was like, this is me writing her. There was other moments where I was like, this is her. And
oh wow, you could tell a difference.
Yeah, you know, and like just knowing that it would never be enough, you know, just to do that exercise. It wouldn't be the same, but it definitely showed me that I've like blocked her. Because for me to experience her presence would mean grief again, like
and
losing her again.
Don't want to
so
go through
I'm
that
like
again.
about to cry just talking about it.
No.
But yeah, like I have, like there's people who are like, oh, I had a dream about my lost, you know, whatever
Loved
last
one.
night.
Yeah.
And it was so amazing. It was like we were hanging out. And my dream that I have about her is that she's back and it's like euphoric.
Ugh.
And then she dies again in the dream and I wake up. I've never woken up crying, but when I have this dream, I wake up with tears streaming down my face.
Yeah, no. Oh.
And so I avoid the connection. I'm like too scared, you know, but then I realized like, why be scared? Like just let her come.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not there's a real spirit of my mom floating around my body and like sitting on the edge of my bed. I don't know, but she is in here because that's just
right.
You know, where people live after they die.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
They live in your memory and stuff. So
for sure.
I had to like, I might put some of that in the book. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Of her talking to me and in that exercise, but we'll see.
Wow.
There's a lot going on in this book, and it's really intense, and I hope it's good. I don't know.
I'm just sitting here listening to you and the whole process of it, and I'm just like, that's so intense, and it's so intimate, and to, like, you don't think about it when you're reading someone else's memoir. You don't think about it until you're in that situation, but you really have to dig up.
Oh, yeah, and, like, because you realize you don't remember anything.
Right.
I think
about that all the time. I don't remember anything from like my childhood.
When you read a memoir, at least I was like, during this experience, I've read a bunch of different memoirs just to see what's out there and what people do. And one thing I noticed was like, how are these people remember all this? This is insane.
How do they do it?
They're making that shit up. Now, when I say making it up, I mean they are constructing what they have of the memory, and they're constructing a little scene around it. Okay. I'm like, how do you remember exactly what your mom said?
Right.
Because I'm like, my experience, and I was a historian of my life. I had journals. I saved everything. I have pictures and videos. And you still had
problems remembering.
And I still would be like, I know she said that, but I can't remember where, and I don't remember what I said back. But I have to reconstruct this conversation because it's really important.
For sure.
So, that's why I have to like warn my family, like, I'm going to see.
Bless you.
Thank you. I have to like warn my family, like, there's going to be things in here you're going to be like, that didn't happen. And I'm going to have to be like, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
You weren't there, but like,
right.
And that's the other thing my family, we've talked about already is like, everybody's memory is different. Truth is very hard to find.
Do you listen to Malcolm Gladwell's podcast at all, Revisionist History?
No, but I should. It's just him and the title. I'm on board.
Yeah, he's the only other podcast I will plug during my podcast. But there is an episode where he talks about memory, because they talk about, do you remember when Brian Williams, that reporter, got in trouble because he said he was on he got bombed on some plane during a war.
And he wasn't even
Iraq.
there, yeah.
But here's the thing is that the whole episode talks about memory and how it is possible for someone to believe something that didn't happen to them, and that doesn't make them a liar. It makes them human, because that's how our memories actually function.
Exactly.
And it's such a good episode, and it makes you rethink about the people we've judged in the past, and it makes you think like, the times when you didn't tell the truth, it's like, why did I do that? And it's like, there's a reason, and it's just the way our brains work.
There was this whole episode that I was writing about, and I went back and was trying to figure out like what time of year it was, and I went back and read the journal about it, and my memory of it was so wrong. And it was like a completely different thing, and I was like, "Oh, my God,
that's insane!"
Like
I feel like you can't trust yourself.
Yeah, and I'm like, "This is insane." So my family, I'm like, "Look, this is going to be my version of the truth, and unfortunately, that will become the official version because I'm the one writing the book."
Right.
I haven't said this yet, but I feel like if anyone has a problem, I'd be like, you're welcome to write a book
as well. Write your version.
Write an article. I don't, you can go out there and tell the story too.
Right.
And, luckily
they won't.
Luckily, I don't think there's going to be anything that explosive that makes people, I've read a lot about family and how they react to memoir, and like, a lot of times it's just not what you think they're going to call and be like, you portrayed me as a monster. But they're like, actually, I didn't smoke Marlboro, Marlboro
it's
Reds.
Something as nitpicky as that.
It was Lucky Strikes, whatever.
I'm a Virginia Slims.
Yeah, like, so it'll be stuff like that they're going to nitpick over.
Right.
And, I have a big family, so it's going to be like a lot of personalities.
You're going to get a lot of emails.
I don't know. I can't think about it because it stops me from writing.
From doing it.
Yeah.
So this podcast has been completely unproductive to your process.
No, it's good to talk about, get it out, because it's like
good.
I can't be doing this when I'm sitting there and with my laptop open.
Right.
Get it out in another place. And when I'm writing, I just need to be writing.
Oh, good. Well, I mean, you think about like it's with story just in general, how much of it is actually 100% true. Like you look at like movies that get made when it says loosely based on, like the Black Klansman that came out, like that stuff didn't happen. That didn't happen. Some of that stuff happened, some of it didn't.
Yeah.
But in order to have a vehicle to tell a story.
And I won't say like there's nothing that's going to be in my book that like I don't truly believe happened, but there might be scenes and dialogue that I have to like reconstruct as best as I can knowing how well I know me and my mom, I can reconstruct a conversation that we had when I was 13.
Right.
But, you know, that's not the kind, I think it's the kind of thing that people get in trouble for. It's like, you didn't actually have cancer and you wrote a book about it.
Who was that one guy?
There's a guy
million
now.
little pieces.
Yeah, his is the big explosive. Like,
Oprah was like, I co-signed you.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was amazing.
I mean, there was stuff that, you know, was completely manufactured.
Yeah,
and like,
we're not talking about that.
Yeah,
right.
no, I'm not doing that. To me, it's just the stuff, because I'm just someone who plays things so by the rules.
Me too.
So I get really uncomfortable if I feel like I'm being dishonest.
Or right.
Which is a big part of the book. So that theme itself. So I feel like the themes of the book are playing out in the process of writing the book. It's like someone with my type of anxiety should not be doing this. It's like the biggest trigger of all time.
Of all time.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, there's got to be a tremendous amount of healing that's going to come. That's already
accepting
right.
that you're never going to be perfect and you're never going to be, well, it's not perfect for me. It's good. I want to be all good and no bad. That's impossible.
In that you mean like
morally good.
Morally good.
I have a really like aversion given, you know, everything that's happened to me. And
right. Well, what is your biggest fear with not being good enough? Like, you mean like going to
that
hell?
I'm a bad person? No, I don't believe in that.
Okay.
It's that I'm a bad person and everyone can see it. And it's a lot of it has to do with what I think the world sees me and what I feel I am. And if I feel that those are in conflict, I completely melt down.
Right.
Like if I think people are talking about me and it's not true what they're saying. If it's true, I'm like, yeah,
I'll own up to that.
Yeah, right? That's right. But if someone is saying something characterizing me in a way that I don't see myself,
right,
which is like impossible because you see yourself as in a distorted way.
100%.
You know, and also what you think people are saying about. First of all, they're not saying anything. They don't.
Most
care.
of the time, they're not. Right. Especially
the
not
worst
in this
is
town.
when
they're talking about themselves.
The worst is when you hear that someone has said something about you and you're like, proof. It's all, that's the proof. They're all saying it and it's happening 24 hours a day.
That one person speaks for everybody.
They're literally having a party right now.
Talking about me. They didn't invite me to.
Because it happened once. Now I believe it's happening all the time. It's just like, geez. The mental hellscape that is inside my brain.
No, I know, but I think there's a lot of people listening to this are like, yeah, I do that too. I think that's a lot of people. We all have insecurities. I'm always curious as to where they come from. Because even looking back at like the way my parents raised me and knowing that they're amazing people, I'm like, I don't think there was anything in their treatment towards me that would have made me feel like I need to be worried about what other people think all the time, you know, and for me to be paranoid about it. But there had to have been that's where all of our issues come from, childhood.
They do, but they also come from, because I've analyzed it so much, I also think it just comes from the way you're wired genetically. Like then you combine that with, because there was things about me that I had like the marker for probably or whatever, like to be very like by the book.
Yeah.
And uncomfortable with like breaking the rules and things like that. That was already in me. I can remember.
You think you were born that way?
I was born that way. And then probably my place and with my siblings and the relationship with them added to it. And then all the stuff with my dad happened and it was like turned into a fossil inside of me. Like that, then it was like, it was like the alcohol, like, you know, if you have the marker for it and you get triggered and then boom, it's an explosion.
And it leads down a
you know, and I was just never gonna, I was doomed. You know, that was just going to happen to me if I had one thing that proved, you know, it's like you have a perspective and then you have a thing happen to you young that proves the point.
And you're like, God damn it.
Yeah. I mean, like my dad did something wrong and he turned himself in and then things got way better in our lives. And I was like, see, when you tell the truth and you never lie, and you do the right thing.
I told you I was right this whole entire time. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to lie. Yeah. Even though I have to. You lie. People lie all the time. They lie to themselves. They lie to other people.
Absolutely.
But I'll like beat myself up over the tiniest shit. And it's just like, now I've wasted a week when I could have been doing something more productive with my life. And I've like just stewed over something.
That's really interesting. Like, because the only reason why I'm not in a relationship is mainly because I'm just like, I can't lie as much if I'm like to myself and just about, because like you have a person that's there.
You're bumping up against somebody.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah, and I'm not talking about like I'm not like a pathological liar, but it's like you can't you're held accountable for things now, and there's a person there.
Well, when it's a good person, in my opinion,
absolutely,
not too far,
challenge.
But,
a good person will challenge you to be a better person. I think that's why relationships in general are so they're necessary, and beneficial. But we all need to. I look at myself and I try to look through an honest lens. And I like will be at home and like if I'm eating in my bed, right? And then I'm like, if somebody was here, I was like, I would have to be there'd be like
yeah, but maybe for the first 3 months, and then you just go
I'd
back
be able
to doing whatever.
Right. I want to just go back and eat in my bed, and either you love me eating in the bed, or you don't.
My boyfriend and I, we have some rules. Like we're not a farting couple. Like we don't fart in front of each other, and I never have understood the couple. I'm like, I don't want my boyfriend to behave like my brother did when we were teens. Like I want to maintain some
romance. Yeah, like what are we talking about here?
Semblance of trying to impress each other.
Not gonna fart in my mouth and think.
And sometimes you fart accidentally and you just move on. But we aren't the ones that are like, hey. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's disgusting. I want separate bathrooms. If I ever get into a long-term relationship with someone, I honestly want separate bedrooms too.
Can I just be honest right now?
Yeah.
We do not sleep in the same room.
I've been saying this.
The moment we started doing, we've been together 9 years.
It works.
The moment we started doing that, our relationship improved significantly because one, he snores and it keeps me awake, and my sleep makes it solves everything.
You need it,
and we it just keeps. I don't know. We have our own space.
That's what it is.
And at night, we're not like in each other's business.
Yes,
and we cuddle in the morning, like someone will go and whoever gets up first will go and like spoon.
Yeah. And if you want to spend the night in that, you can. You have the option too if you want. It's not like when people they think you're crazy.
We can sleep in the same bed. It's not like a cold marriage that we don't touch.
That's what people hear. That's what they hear when you say that.
But we have actually a very, very close relationship.
I'm sure it's probably even closer.
And we've done a lot of work on ourselves, and we do great. But it hasn't always been that way. But
Who invented the sleeping together thing? Who invented the one bed for two people?
I mean, poor people probably. I don't know.
They couldn't. That's all they could afford.
That's all they had.
But I'm like, if you have the means to have separate bedrooms and separate space, like it just makes...
Well, he's a night owl, and I'm not.
People are different.
And it's like, it was just causing, and I have like night terrors and shit, and he would come in and like trigger them, and like, as soon as we figured it out... It was like, why? And there was shame.
Have we not been doing this?
There was shame at first. It was like, this is embarrassing. And now I'm like, if you have those kinds of issues in your relationship, try it, because it has made us so much happier.
Do what works for you. Everyone's different, but it's so weird how like that's just what. Again, we're such followers. I don't understand. Like, to think for yourself, like, yeah, that's not what's been done, but that's what works for us. And so if you don't want to do it, then don't do it.
Yeah,
but
especially like. We go through long periods of spending 24 hours a day together because we both are in the business, and so we'll both be periods of not working, and like that is really challenging. You need your own space. I wish we had 2 bathrooms. God damn it!
I'm telling you, you will manifest
one day,
and when you do have your separate bathroom. But I know another comedian who was living with his. I think they're married now. But at the time they were boyfriend girlfriend, and. I remember he came to me and he was like, I'm getting an office space, because if my girlfriend is in my face 5 minutes more than she is right now, we're breaking up. Like, it's not, you need, and that, again, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and then when I travel, we don't speak. We will text a couple times. Yeah. We don't have jealousy issues. I can see that being different for people who are, worried about.
But then that's unhealthy. Like, what are we doing at this point? We're just enabling.
I mean, I don't know. If I was dating a comic that was on the road all the time, like I'm
a little bit jealous.
I'm the comic on the road all the time. I might be like,
what's
are you getting hand jobs like in the green room? Because that's what
you do.
Exactly. No, that's what I imagine.
You're projecting, Sarah. You're projecting.
I imagine that male comedians must be very easy.
It is.
It's not for women.
It's not for us.
The only thing we get proposed is weird
swingers. I have said this on stage.
It's a thing.
It is a weird. I was like, I don't get hit on as female comedians, and I was like, I can't speak for all of us. I'm speaking from my own personal experience, but I feel like this happens to other women. We don't get hit on by men because number one, we threaten and intimidate men. They don't want to come up to us because we're on stage. We're like in a power position. We're making a whole room laugh. That's intimidating to a lot of men. But for some reason, there's power in numbers. So groups will come up.
The couple will come over.
Yes.
It's like, no.
And we're like, no, you could kill me. And there's so many different concerns for us as women.
Right. It's not the same.
It's not the same. So guys get a lot of high just from going on the road with groupies.
I can't imagine what it would be like if the tables were turned. I don't know if I would be 100%
faithful.
Faithful, yeah. No.
For sure.
I would be.
Faithful.
I don't know if I would be as chill as I am about us being apart.
If it was the other way around.
Yeah. I mean,
you might be. You don't know.
Yeah.
You might be. If you fully trust, I
do fully trust.
Yeah. Then
we have total trust. Yeah.
Then it wouldn't make that much difference, I don't think.
Yeah.
But that it is completely different for us. And I'm so happy that at the same, I like doing road gigs, but again, it's a completely different experience for us. And especially, it's so lonely. It's so lonely.
It's lonely. It's
and scary.
Scary.
It's scary.
Fear is one thing I experience often when I'm on the road.
One time I did a gig last year. It was a year ago, January of last year. And it was up north, in the Bay-ish area. And they put me up in some sketchy ass. It was a motel.
Murder hotel.
Where you walk outside. This is not a hotel.
I won't stay in those.
No, I'm not doing it anymore. I didn't even know. They didn't tell me what the name of the place was. And so I did not know.
Can I just tell you a really quick story?
Please.
I'm not going to name the club.
Tell me after that we're
I will
done.
tell you after.
So I can avoid.
I'm nervous to even tell the story because it has to reveal something about the location, which would reveal easily what club it was.
Or which one it was.
But let's just say that it had a condo, which my agents would never let me stay in. I don't get booked in a ton of clubs, so it's usually not an issue. But I think nowadays clubs they at least know not to put female comedians in the comedy condo.
In the rape condo, you mean?
Yeah. So there was a condo. It was on a beach. So you might know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it was told to me it is so nice. And it was.
Oh, that's what they say.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Newly remodeled oceanfront. Wow.
That's what they say.
Cool.
I've said that before. No, I'm kidding.
I get there and I notice, it's just the time of year, I notice and it's hot as balls in there.
Oh, no.
And so I'm like, okay, let's find the thermostat. Can't find a thermostat. Let's find the fans. No fans. No. So I text, I got there late because I had to do the radio the next morning. So I was like, hey, I'm not sure if you're awake, but is there air conditioning in this condo? And they were like, no. And I was like, okay. He goes, but you can open the windows. And I was like, okay. I did not think of that. No screens on the windows.
Yeah, no.
I open it up and it's a balcony and I look out and I'm literally 5 feet from a homeless man.
For sure.
Taking a shit. And I was like, someone could have easily, it was ground level. Someone could have easily jumped up and come in.
Oh, yeah.
The windows were huge. You could have walked right through it.
Anybody could walk in, right.
And I was panicked. I was like, not only is it hot as fuck in here, but I'm going to have to sleep with all the
windows. You don't understand.
Everything open. And now I'm terrified.
Now I'm terrified.
And I have night terrors, as I mentioned. And so any little shadow or anything makes me fucking go crazy.
Yeah.
And so I texted him and I was kind of like, this is crazy. I was like, I don't feel safe. He goes, don't worry. There's a really psycho home committee or neighborhood watch because I guess they get noise complaints from the comedians going too wild in this condo. He's like, no, they're really strict. And I was like, I'm not.
Oh, so
do you know that when I get raped and murdered, there won't be one peep. I'm going to be dead. There's not going to be any noise. I'm just going to wake up with a knife to my throat. Are you fucking kidding? And so
because you know about all the rapes the neighborhood watches solve and,
right.
I'm all heard about those stories.
You know how people love calling 911 when a woman's getting raped. They're like, oh, let me be the hero. They're more like they hide in the corner and they're like, oh no.
And then tell us it didn't happen.
Exactly. So I'm thinking at this point that I'm being a diva. I've now
Well, that's how they make you feel.
Yes. And the guy was super nice. It wasn't his fault. He was just a guy that worked at the club.
Yeah,
so this isn't talking shit about him. And the next morning he's the one that took me to the radio thing. And again, such a nice guy, but I could tell that he didn't want to like receive my complaints because maybe he'd heard it a lot before.
Possible.
And he just knew he couldn't do anything about it. But I felt that I was being a diva.
Or maybe they don't even book enough women.
Well, that's the other thing. I texted my friend who had played it months before, and she was like, they didn't have towels.
What?
In there when I got there, and they acted like I was crazy for needing a towel.
You're now confirmed. I know exactly where you're talking. I was 90%, and then now no towels. Oh, I know it. Yep.
Yeah, I was just like, it's nice, but like, I shouldn't feel bad for asking. And I told him, I was like,
safety.
you know what? I get it's at the beach, and maybe you don't need air conditioning because the breeze and all that stuff, and it was unusually hot.
Have bars on the windows.
Have bars on the window or a screen. I also got mosquitoes. There was dead mosquitoes all over the bed when I woke up because they were just coming in. And I was like, God damn it.
Well, if we're talking about the same place, one time they had bed bugs.
No.
But this was years ago.
Yeah, it was very nice. And my friend came down and featured for me the rest of the weekend. We had a really good time. But, she was like, it is warm in here. She was being so chill about it, though. She's like, I'm fine. And I was like, I was like, if you want to go to a hotel, if you don't want to come.
Yeah.
I 100% support you. And I was just like, she was like, I'm fine.
And but next time just make them put you up in a hotel because they will do that.
I debated it.
Yeah.
But I was just like, what? I don't want to burn. I want to make a good impression. You're just, it was my first time performing there.
Oh, trust me. I understand that 100%. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, fuck it. If you don't book me again, that's fine. But you got to handle the situation because here I am.
And I was like, she's like, my friend was like, I think every female comic that performs there gets something else added that makes it acceptable. Like now they have toiletries. Now they have, towels.
Now there's running water.
I did find
for our lady comics.
I found one fan, but it was like a desktop Vornado. I mean, it did nothing.
It did nothing.
And I was like, that's not okay, And he, like, we'll give you some fans. Don't worry, from the club. I mean, they were like covered. They were so nasty.
But like really quickly, because I think we have to wrap up.
We gotta go.
I want to say like, just to give you an idea of like how different it is with men and women and like how we have to like the obliviousness of men.
Yeah.
I was watching some documentary about Jodi Arias. You remember that? That's the chick who murdered her boyfriend or whoever at the time, that guy she was dating. And I didn't know this until I watched this documentary. He had 2 roommates, male roommates. Dude was dead for 5 days in his bedroom. In the shower.
Are you serious? Wait, and there was like blood everywhere.
In his bedroom and the bathroom, And so his door was closed and locked. He had 2 male roommates who had no idea this motherfucker was dead.
Hilarious and horrifying.
And the people that found him, so he was the dude who died. I think his name was... I was going to say Scott Peterson. No, I can't remember what his name is, but...
It's probably Chad.
Eric, Scott, maybe.
I don't know.
No, I already said Scott. So the people that discovered him, so the guy that got killed by Jodi Arias, he was supposed to be taking a trip to Mexico with this other girl. And
right, that's what caused her to...
nothing caused, right.
It's not his fault, but like...
Not victim blaming here.
No.
But... So the girl was calling him for like 3 days in a row and got no response. She's like, we're supposed to go to Mexico tomorrow, and he hasn't responded. So she called 2 of her friends and they're like, let's go to his place, banging on the door, nothing, banging on nothing. So finally they like text somebody who had his garage door opener code. They opened the garage. That door to the house was open, unlocked. So they go in that way. They go upstairs. They're pounding on his bedroom door. No response. It's locked. Then they find out one of his roommates is home, who didn't hear any of this ruckus, heard none of this, didn't hear the doorbell knock, nothing.
Oh my God.
He was in there dead for 5, just to show you the amenities that women need. Like guys aren't even aware of a rotting body.
Right.
That's stinking. They said the odor, they said it smelled like somebody died. And these dudes are just kicking it in there.
Oh, they probably didn't even notice it.
They did. They said, well, we're bachelors, we're young, and it could have been trash.
Oh my God.
Did you want to investigate?
That is
And I don't know no trash that smells like a rotting carcass.
Oh, if I have like a diced onion in my trash
I'm like, I gotta take this out.
I'm like, this is done.
So like, clearly we're on two different as far as our needs.
Exactly.
And concerns.
Yeah.
That was a good way to.
Excuse us for wanting to like live like humans.
Like humans, decent human beings.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have to wrap this up. This was amazing, Sarah. Thank you so
I
much for
love
coming.
you.
No, this was great. Thank you
so much for having me.
Of course, anytime. You guys, thank you for listening to The Struggle with Candice Thompson. Again, if you have not subscribed, make sure to do that on YouTube now. And also, we're available where you find all your podcasts. Rate and review us on iTunes. Also, pay it forward and tell somebody about the struggle. If you have been struggling with something, which we all do daily because we're adults, tell somebody because we can make you laugh about it. You can find me at Jokes by Candice on all social media, CandiceThompsonComedy.com. You can find Brenda Colonna at Brenda Colonna on Instagram. And Sarah, one more time, plug you.
Sara Schaefer 1.
And your album.
Live, Laugh, Love.
And you can find that wherever you find all of her Googleable.
Yes. That's what I'm like, just Google it.
Yeah.
Be an adult.
You'll
okay?
find it. Yeah, Sarah's super funny, so make sure.